Hello Bitzbox, it's Craig from Bitzbox.co.uk here with another video in my Bretonnian Army series. So in this one I am looking at the Trebuchet and its crew members, and I'll show you what I've got and then I'll show you how I paint the crew and the Trebuchet up. So that's what's going on in this video. Before we get into that though, I just want to give a massive shout out and a huge thank you as always to our patrons. So thank you so much for help and support this channel. If you want to know what our Patreon is all about, there is a link right down in the description below. So yeah, let's get straight into this. Okay, so I managed to pick this up from eBay. Can't remember for the life of me how much it was. So this is the Trebuchet for the Bretonnians. It's been a long time since I've done anything for this Bretonnian Army. Hopefully I'll do a bit more frequently in the future, but yeah, I'm quite excited for this one. So as far as I'm aware, I've got the full kit here with all the parts. Some of the Trebuchet bits will have to be glued together. I think that goes on there somehow. Not quite sure. I'm looking at a reference picture, it looks different to what's on there. I think this one might go underneath. So there's a bit there. I'm sure I've got it actually somewhere. I just sort of dug these out of a box. So yeah, I think there's another bit what hangs on there. If not, I could probably make something out of a stone or something. I'm going to focus on the crew first, mind you. They're really nice little miniatures actually. I don't know how well I'm going to focus. This guy's got a little dog by him. Another little guy with a pickaxe. Nice little detail to him, quite a lot of character. Little guy here, I quite like his face. Very cool. And then there's this little guy here. And then there's like a little kid on a wheelbarrow with a slingshot. Very random. I think I'm going to put him on a little base. So what I'm going to do is rebase these, get them sprayed. Try and find out a bit for that. Get this glued together. I've got a 60mm base for that. I'm not sure if that's going to be big enough. I will have to have a look to see if I've got a larger base for that. Maybe an oval base or something. I mean, I could put everything on one base, but I'm going to leave them separate. Make them easier to paint as well. So I've got some round bases for these guys. Just a regular 25mm, so I'll get them rebased. Get them sprayed. And yeah, maybe I'll paint. Yeah, I think maybe I'll paint one on this video and then paint the Trebuchet as well. I'll paint them all quite similar, so probably use some contrast paints and some other bits. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so we've got the miniatures here and they've been sprayed in grey cere, and you can see I've got the extra piece there, which I thought I did have kicking around somewhere. There's just this piece. I don't really know where it went. Doesn't really matter too much. Got another little bit center on there anyway. That's pretty good. Got the oval base for it now. So yeah, what I'm going to do is focus on painting these guys. So we're going to do this one. And I'll paint them all in a similar fashion. So we'll focus on this one. I'll show you how I paint them up with some contrast paints and whatnot. Just a little bit. Let me just take off his foot there. I didn't notice that before. Sometimes you use odd little metal bits on these miniatures. So they're gone. So yeah, I'll zoom in the camera a bit and we'll focus on this guy. So I'm going to start with Militarum Green. So this is going to be for his sort of undershirt. Paint it very carefully on the sleeves like that. Now with some of the others I'll paint some areas with this colour. I don't know where my brush has gone, and this one doesn't really hold a point at all. So this shirt sort of on the back as well. He has an apron thing going on there. So that's how that colour looks at the moment. I'm going to take some Gorgrunter Fur. So this is a slightly lighter brown than what I probably would normally use. It's got a bit of red to it as well. I was thinking I'll probably do a sort of dark brown on the wood on the Trebuchet anyway. So I thought I'd do something different for these guys. I have just changed the lighting slightly. If you notice, it looks a bit brighter in this. I'm hoping it's not going to be too bright. Saying that, if I end up filming it too bright, I will just take the exposure down in as I edit this, so it probably looks okay to you guys, hopefully. But this is a really nice colour. I'm going to paint the belt as well for now. He's got like a saw on his back. He missed the top of his thing there. Get back in with the green. Yeah, I'll just do the whole front. Sorry, I'll slip out of shot there. As you can see, it's coming along quite nicely now. So for his flesh areas, we won't take Guilliman flesh, but these guys are sort of quite old. So I wanted to make the skin just take some of it's quite sort of red. There's a lot of sort of redness and sort of almost a tanned nature to Guilliman flesh. So I want to take some Drakenhof Nightshade, just mix in a tiny amount, and I'll show you on my thumb what that sort of looks like. So just take some of that redness away and you'll see it go on the miniature. It'll make quite a nice base for a more sort of paler aged skin. At least that's the plan. I think it looks alright. It's all theory, that mix. I haven't actually tried this before. Another reason to make the skin a bit paler as well, when I add the highlights, is that I'll just separate it from his overalls as well. And even now they look quite similar. Is that focusing? Yeah, so far so good. I'm liking that. The only thing I don't like about contrast paint is sometimes you get these odd little spots where you just gotta watch out for. Next up I'm taking Griff Charger Grey. This will be for his hair, beard, his beard, and the straps on his around his feet as well. Slight sort of bluey tint to it, it's quite nice. Just noticed actually he's bald on top, so I'll have to get that skin tone on top. Oh dear, I'm missing things tonight. That's what happens when you film late at night. Got that sort of monk hairdo going on. Looks pretty nice though, I think. Maybe that's focus on. There we go. I apologise if the focus is a bit. It's playing up a little bit tonight, but yeah. As I said, there's a lot of character in these miniatures. I really like them. I'm going to do the hammerhead as well. So next up I'm taking some wild wood. So this will be on shoes. So this is a nice dark brown, and this will be a similar sort of brown that I want on the trebuchet. I'm not sure whether to go straight in a contrast on that or whether just paint up a nice wood effect on it. Bit of both really, and there's a bag here as well. Give it more on the brush. Bit more on the brush. And as you notice, I've zoomed in a little bit. Hopefully try and sort that focus issue out. And do that hammer there as well. So you can see already he's getting quite close to having all the base colours down. I think I'll do these little handles here as well. Now I don't use greys for metallics on contrast like GW sort of have suggested. Don't do none of that. And we need a colour for the dog as well. But yeah, he's coming along quite nicely. I think some of these belts and stuff as well I'll also go over with Wildwood. Wildwood's really good at going over other colours because it's so dark, as I'll demonstrate. I don't know what that is. A little bit of fabric randomly there, but you can see it just goes straight over. So I can use that to paint his belt. So I think I'm going to take Apothecary White for the dog. It's just an excuse to use this colour. I don't use it very often. It's not really white, it's like a very light grey. That's what gives you a natural shading. I quite like that. There's some little bits on the dog, sorry. Get back up there. You'll notice as well I've got a little bit of a tricky situation trying to get him onto the base, but that'll all be covered up once I put the base material on. I won't show that in this video because it's the same as what I've used in the others. I'm pretty sure I've showed it off. It's literally just one of the texture paints, so nothing special. But yeah, I think maybe I'll use like red for this little cloth on the dog. I don't really know what's happening there. And then we'll paint some metal in for the tongs and the saw on his back. And yeah, I mean he'll be pretty much there. I'll just add a couple of little highlights after as well. So I'll just take some Blood Angels Red for those areas on the dog. Nice bright red colour for his little jet coat, maybe. Something's draped over him. Maybe it keeps him warm. And he's got that little shield thing on the front as well, showing off his colours. Check out all that little bits. And I'll be very careful not to get any on his fur. If I do, I'm just paint it back up with grease here and then a bit of Apothecary White. So I'll take some Iron Hands steel now, and obviously for the metal areas, so these tongs. a saw on his back as well, and I'll get him little straps painted as well with like wildwood in a minute. I just want to get silver on first, but with that then straps on the axe as well, the hammer, sorry. With that, that'll be all the base colours down, and we can just add a little bit more. It just really does not want to focus today. I do apologise. There we go. So when it does, it looks fine. You can see tiny little specks that you sometimes get when using contrast. It's a lot easier to see them on the camera than it is with the eye, so I'll get them cleaned up as well. But even just in that state, it looks pretty cool. I do like them, and there's just so much character on these miniatures. I just think they're fantastic. So some non-oil now, just to go on the metal areas, to give them a bit more definition. Again, it doesn't want to focus, does it? Oh, there we go. It's just a bit slow. Yeah, normally I'd use a different camera, or started using a different camera with a manual focus, but I don't have it on hand at the moment, so. But, you know, when it is focusing, it's looking pretty nice. Still can see tiny little spots, they're very hard to see by the eye. But yeah, I think I'll add some little highlights next, and that'll be him done. I'm just looking at the dog's ears. I might just get the non-oil out and just add a little bit to them ears. It makes make them look a little bit more interesting. See, dogs aren't always just one complete colour. Spin down a little bit. Just paint the ears that colour, so it's just going to tint it a bit darker. It's not going to go on black. Probably like a sort of grey colour. Just sort of makes it a bit more interesting. Maybe like a tiny little bit on the snout as well, like so. Just do a little bit on the shadows. So yeah, that makes the dog just that tiny little bit more interesting. A little bit around. And the tail there to give a bit more depth as well. Okay. So let's move on to the highlights. So I've thinned out some flayed one flesh for the skin areas. And just brush there. These points, if you've watched some of my other painting videos, you'll know that I like to do the nose, cheeks, top and bottom lips, and a little bit on the forehead. When it comes to highlighting faces. And with the arms, if it's thin enough, you can do a nice thin line across the top. Just keep it nice and thin though. And then a little bit on the fingers as well. Again, keeping it nice and thin so when it dries, it'll be quite subtle and look more natural. And also, don't do this very often, but do have the top of his head as well. So again, nice and thin, add a little highlight to the top. Also going to paint in his teeth as well. I have some ceramite white just on hand. You can obviously use white scar or whatever. This just happens to be what's sitting around. Very carefully. Just catch them teeth. Like so. And then grab some Screamer Pink for his tongue. So a tiny little amount of this. Just dabbing it in there. You wouldn't really see it too much, especially if the camera never focuses. There you go. A little bit in his face there. Cool, so I think some highlights on his clothes. And I'll call him done. So I've got Deathclaw brown that I've thinned out on my palette. Now you'll notice with this guy, focus please. The browns come out quite rough and patchy. It's sort of common with contrast paints over flat areas. Normally you'd add another coat to help even it out, but I quite like it on this because it sort of gives it that sort of leathery effect. And I'm going to do the highlights in sort of like a dot motion to help sort of keep that sort of texture feel. As it's quite small though, it'll be sort of quite hard to sort of notice. But sorry, just move some paint over there. But you just thin it down on your brush and just sort of dab where you want your highlights to be. Build up some sort of texture. Like so. And it will hide a bit of that patchiness as well. But it really helps add to the texture. Like so, it looks like there's a lot of contrast on the top half on the camera. Not so much to the eye, but I'll add just a bit more. Like so, I still find these tiny little dots. I mean, it's a combination of a light primer, contrast paints, and metal miniatures. So you can just see just in there as well as a little bit. So you just paint with that highlight. It's not really going to make much difference. So yeah, I'll continue on the back, and then we'll do highlights on the top half, and we'll call him done. So lastly, I'll take a Lycian green, and that'll be our highlights for these green areas. And this I'll just paint in a more traditional way of just filling it out and hitting those higher areas, sort of raised areas. And just work your way around, and then that'll be that for the crew. I just really like looking at him on the camera, just such a cool miniature. Okay, so here is the crew painted up. I still need to add some grass tufts to the base. I don't know where they are. I'll find them. But yeah, really happy with how they turned out. And yes, it is mainly a contrast paint jobby. With a couple of little highlights, but that's all I'm really doing on these. And if you watched the video for the bowmen, the peasant archers, whatever they're called these days, they're just pretty much contrast paint jobs as well. You know, I will spend more time on the character miniatures, and we will see some of them in a future video, probably even the next one. But for now, let's move these to one side and concentrate on the trebuchet. So I've already put some texture paint on the base, gave it a thinned out Agrax wash, just so you can see I'm going to get little bits on there, so I want to do that first. I can always just take my little scraper thing and just take some of them away. I'm not really too worried about getting too much on there. Probably would have bits of that and that on the side of it. Anyway. Oh, you also notice I've changed the camera angle slightly. Hopefully that's a little bit better. It seems to be staying in focus a bit more. I'm going to take some wildwood and just slap it on. And pretty much most of this is wood. And you can see it already, it's looking pretty nice. And I'll dry brush some highlights. So yeah, I'm going to work my way around this, and then I'll be back. Okay, so that's how it's looking. Just notice a little bit I missed there. There's always bits you miss on things like this. There are some other little spots about you'll notice, but not all of this is going to be painted wood, so a lot of these spots are just on like metal areas and stuff like that. So like sort of here and there, it's all going to be painted metal, and then obviously I'll paint that as stone. But next up, I'll go over that bit in a bit. Gore brown, I'm just going to dry brush all over, so that's dry brush. Yeah, not too much on the brush there. I'm just gradually going to build this up. So it'll take a little while, several passes, to really build that colour. You can see it's building up very slowly, which is what I want. And there's really not much paint on the dry brush. The thing is, if you go in too heavy, you might start losing some of that grain, but yeah, I'll work around, sort out that a little bit, and yeah, you can see already the difference. I'm quite liking that. Next, I'm going to take Baneblade Brown, and again I'm dry brushing, and this time just being a little bit lighter with it, not building it up as much. Focusing more on the sharper edges as well, but still going over the whole thing, but just we'll do a few extra passes just on the sharper points, I think. So just work my way around, and I'm quite liking that as a wood effect. Okay, so yeah, I'm liking the look of that. So next I'm going to take some lead belcher. There it is. And that's obviously for all the metal areas, so there's a fair few. And I thought I'd go with a slightly darker metal on this. Bits over here as well, and all these little rings there. Obviously, all this what attaches to stone. There's odd little bits as well, so I'll work my way around. Well, sorry, I'm probably at that shot for some of that, wasn't I? Oh, I got to get used to this different setup. Definitely seems better that I've changed the camera to this angle though. Don't seem to be losing that focus so much. I just got to get used to painting in this position. I've sort of altered my position slightly for it. So I do apologise, guys. Just getting used to the setup. Yeah, I'll be back once these areas are painted. So as you can see, this metal's quite dark. Usually I would just add some Nuln oil, but I'm not going to bother as it's already quite dark. I'm going to go in with a very light highlight of Speed Metal from scale 75. It's essentially Stormhost Silver. I just like these metallics better than the Citadel ones. Outside of the base range, I just don't like the Citadel metallics. And I'm going to paint all the rivets, like so. Make them pop out, and I'm going to very carefully just paint little edge highlights with this colour, so it's going to be tricky to do on cam, but do some little bits. I have to just thin it out just ever so slightly more. And yeah, I'm going to work around all them areas and then we'll go on to the next bit. Right, next I'm going to paint all the little shields and stuff what's on here with some Mephiston red. So there's quite a few of these little shields. I've seen GW sort of paint them in a half and half sort of scheme when looking at the reference pictures for this, but I'm going to paint them all red. So just carefully paint them like so, and I might do 2 thin coats on this. Don't think we'll quite get away with just the one. But it just gives it a bit of colour as well, and we'll add some more colour with the rope and the sort of sack there as well. Okay, so next I'm going to take some Skeleton Horde to paint the ropes. Just want to keep it nice and simple. Going in with contrast. I think Skeleton Horde works really well for rope as well, not just bones and such. So next I'm going to paint this bag that goes around that stone there. I'm going to take Militarum Green. I've used it on the clothes for the crewman. I think it'll help tie this in quite nicely. Be a bit messy here. Don't paint that like so. That's pretty cool. Okay, for the stones, I'm going to take some Dawn Stone. Looking at the pictures of the original miniature, I think there's another stone piece which would just go on the base, but I don't appear to have that. So this is purchased off eBay, which I probably mentioned that we can. Well, I mean everything in the series is off eBay. Obviously, it's an eBay army, but obviously when you purchase stuff secondhand on eBay, you kind of expect sometimes for things missing. That's fine. I certainly don't recall having that other piece, but I'm glad I managed to find this stone on the front. So, and then I'm going to take some Nuln oil and just slap it on. So, helps bring out the detail in these stones. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is take some Longbeard Grey and just dry brush it maybe not as heavy as that, but just dry brush it on these stones. Just get the edges. Didn't really want it that heavy. That's better. That's better. So it just brings out them all the edges quite nicely, and then with that, this little set will be done. And there we have it, the Bretonnian Trebuchet, complete with crew. Definitely need to find my grass tufts just to add some little greenery on the bases, so they just look a little bit more interesting, have a little bit more colour. But yeah, it's a fun little set to do, quick and easy, with contrasts there, which is what I wanted really. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I wish Age of Sigmar had more sort of artillery stuff, catapults, trebuchets, ballistas and stuff like that. Hopefully in the future we'll see more stuff like that, but yeah, it's a cool little kit. And it's another little piece of this army, so gradually getting it all together. Now I have some miniatures that I didn't actually get buy from eBay. GW had some made to order stuff for a couple of heroes, so I think maybe they'll be in the next one. So hopefully the gap between that one won't be as long as it was between this one and the last one. But yeah, that was quite fun. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with all the videos we do, and have to keep up to date with the rest in this series as they come out. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. See you all again very soon. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. You can also click that bell icon to be notified when a new video has gone live on this channel. On the screen now are 2 more videos that you may wish to check out, and a link to our Patreon page also. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.